Hi there. You're now the proud owner of a food truck. Cooks sell your food, and if you do well, you can even become famous.
Food Truck Shop Simulator is a management game developed by Burrow Paval. It's currently in previews, awaiting full release, coming out fairly soon. I went into this really hoping for realism, and I got a lot more frustration than I was anticipating. While it does show glimpses of real potential, right now it feels more like a stress test than an actual simulator. So graphically, I would say it's somewhere between a low poly and stylized sort of implementation, although it's hard to pin down exactly what they were going for. The UI and the user experience is clunky. The interface is not intuitive. Key prompts are oddly placed. They've tried to do things uniquely. B is for tablets. I definitely think this is better designed for controllers than it is for keyboard and mouse controls. The menus are buggy. For example, the tutorial messages and order windows often block important elements, and they won't disappear with the keybind that is associated with it. Now, they did put a delay on the game, so I'm wondering if some of these bugs were part of the reason for that, and I'm awaiting the update, so I'm probably a couple of weeks behind full release version. Arguably the worst part of this game, basic actions like navigating menus, chopping vegetables, or serving customers are made unnecessarily complicated. Arrow keys for navigation, mouse clicks for interaction, but inconsistent responses. Press and hold mechanics for everything to pick things up. They quickly become tedious as well. The order system is genuinely confusing. Took me a long time to really wrap my head around what I was looking at. Customers modify standard recipes. They'll say double ketchup and no pickles or something like that, which is brilliant, but the way in which it's displayed is unintuitive. It took me a long time before I really actually figured it out, and even then sometimes I was still getting it wrong. The cleaning and maintenance element is surprisingly detailed, which is good, but again it's slightly marred by poor UI and interaction design. And the shopping element is a little bit frustrating. You're only able to buy one chopping board, for example, when it's clearly obvious that having 2 or 3 chopping boards would be better, because a single chopping board is quite restrictive in terms of what it will allow you to put on there. There are definitely moments of realism, though, that actually really do genuinely work. The ingredients go off if not refrigerated, prep trays need cleaning, and you can lay out your workspace pretty much how you like. But the lack of quality of life systems like pre-closing cleanup, better inventory management, or clear customer feedback makes the game feel like it's fighting you every step of the way. There's also frequent confusion introduced due to poor design. For example, the menus reset overnight. They don't actually tell you they've done this, but I opened up and lost about 5 or 6 customers on my second day because I didn't have anything on the menu. Why they took everything off from the previous day makes no sense to me. And some of the controls just don't respond as quickly as you need them to in a high-speed environment like this. Basic tasks like placing food in containers or onto the grill are often inconsistent, or I should say rather taking it out of the toaster. There's an animation that has to complete, which takes probably about half a second too long. And if you try and grab the toast or the bun out before that's finished, it will just shut the thing down and cook it a second time. Serving is often chaotic and often ends in failure due to unclear interfaces and perhaps logic issues. Sometimes people sort of move around, and when you turn around again, there's 4 or 5 people standing there and you've no idea who's who, and you're trying to give them their food, and it all gets very confusing indeed. There is, I would say, something of a steep learning curve, not because the game is necessarily deep, but because the interface is so unintuitive. But once you understand the bizarre systems and interfaces that they've implemented, it becomes playable, but never quite smooth or overly enjoyable. It's a bit of a challenge to get it. There are some elements I liked, though. The core idea is definitely strong. The visual clarity, once cleaned up, is satisfying. The fridge, the storage prep, and the trays are all clearly laid out, and they work really well. The fridge is probably my favourite thing. Fridge freezer, I should say. It does give you the feeling of running a food truck, with all the prepping and the managing of orders and so on and so forth. It is incredibly challenging. Even if you get the controls down and you understand what you're doing, you're really going to struggle to keep up with pace, which is good, arguably, because it's quite realistic. But if, for example, a customer orders something and you don't have all the ingredients, you have to get out and go and run over and buy them and run back to the truck, which isn't very realistic at all, I don't think. I think the controls need a bit of an overhaul. Perhaps you can edit the keybinds, which would help. As I say, I think it's better designed for a controller than it is for a keyboard and mouse. The UI and the text and the font that they've picked really needs to be changed because it's not very readable, and the menus are not all that responsive either. I suggest that you let players close the truck and then clean up, because at the moment, as soon as you close the truck, it abruptly takes you to the end of the game, and then you've got to clean up all the out-of-date food. I think allowing batch purchasing of chopping boards, anything you like really, if you have the money, you should be able to buy it. And this is a game with real potential, buried under a mountain of clunky systems. They've tried to be unique, they've tried to do things their own way, and they have, and some of it really, really works. But they don't really introduce it or explain it to you well enough for it to be intuitive. You have to sort of bang your head against the wall for a while, trying out different things until you understand what they're trying to get you to do. And even then, it's still a bit clunky. Given time with a bit of tweaking, I think they're going to get a lot of user feedback. Hopefully, if they listen to that and implement what needs to be done, then this will become a really interesting little game. It certainly does at times feel like you're running a food truck. So in terms of simulation, they've almost nailed it. It's just the user interface and the controls that need a bit of work. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Till then, take care. Goodbye for now.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to work, cause my boss is a jerk, and I'm not even that paid. I need a change in my life, cause I don't feel alive, and there's nothing that makes me